everyone! Well, as promised, I am back with a video showing how I made some of the cards for the Waffle Flower June release. So today we're going to be using the Pop-up Heart die, and we're going to be using it two ways. So this is what it looks like when you first pull it out of the die cutting machine. You can see how they're already kind of popped up and they're connected in the middle. And so for this card, I am going to pop up the hearts, and I found that the easiest way was to just take my bone folder and score the hearts right down the middle. And that just let me pop them up more evenly. I felt like if I tried to do it myself, they would either bend and not be straight. This just was the easiest thing for me to do. So here I have scored them all, popped them all up. And now I'm going to pick a background, and I'm pulling my favorite paper pad ever, JJ's Rainbows paper pad. And now this is going to go on the inside. This is the inside Pop-up XOs Die, and this is one of the phenomenal products in this release. When it comes out, when you die cut it out, there are score lines, so you see me just using my bone folder along those score lines, and it's just super easy, and look at what you get. Now what I wanted to do was put some colored paper behind it, so I took another sheet of paper from that rainbow paper pad, and all you do is you glue it to the largest tab. So that's really easy. And then you just trim off the excess. And that way, when it pops up inside the card, you will see the rainbow behind it. Now it's time to glue it into the card. Now ignore that sentiment. We're going to fix that in a minute. But you just put that short side up against the fold in the card, and you glue that down. You can use double-sided tape, but I used glue. I will use double-sided tape for the bigger flap. So I'm using my score tape. And really, the die does all the work for you here. This could not be any easier. So again, you lift that flap all the way up to the fold in the card base as well. And you just remove your tape, and then you fold your card down. And voila! Look at how cool that is. I just think it's so fun. And so I had initially stamped that other sentiment, but I decided it wasn't very fun. Right now I'm just going to assemble the front of the card, glued my rainbow paper down, and now I'm gluing the base down. And just make sure you don't put any glue on the back of those hearts because you want them to stay popped up. So now I'm going to make a new sentiment. I'm using the Inside Sentiments Hugs set for part of my sentiment. There are so many inside sentiments in this release. And then I'm going to pick the Love You from the mini sentiments. I'm going to just kind of add that to my sentiment. So here's the new inside of my card. What I did was I took a scrap of that same rainbow paper, and it wasn't long enough, so I just cut it in half. But you're never going to know that I cut it in half because I'm going to use that white piece of paper with the sentiment to cover it. So now it just looks like it was a whole sheet of rainbow paper, and you'll never know. So now I am going to put a sentiment on the front, and this comes from the Subsentiments birthday die cut. These are just sentiments that are ready to go. You just pop them out and glue them on. And I thought this was fitting to use surprise inside because there is a surprise inside. To finish up the front, I am using some enamel dots from Waffle Flower. These are actually JJ's rainbow dots. They match the rainbow paper. And these are clear dots, also from Waffle Flower. So there's my completed front. And there's a surprise inside. and you open it up, and who wouldn't love to receive this card? I just think it's so fun. So there is the front all complete and the inside. I love it. And it was so much fun to make. All right, let's see what else we can do with this panel. So you don't need to pop up the hearts. And I'm not going to. I'm going to use this duotone heart stencil. And I'm going to color the hearts using the stencil. There's 2 pieces. One colors one half of the heart and the other colors the other half. Now there's a registration mark on the stencil for an A2 panel, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just lining it up, and that makes it so it's easy to line up that second stencil. And I am just using some low tack tape to cover up some of the holes in the stencil so that I can ink this up in kind of a rainbow order. You don't have to use the tape, and I was using a pretty big brush, so you can use a smaller brush and not have to worry, but we don't all have, well, I have a lot of brushes, I'm going to admit, but maybe you don't. And so this is what you can do if you only have big brushes. I'm using my favorite colors of Distress ink for my little rainbow. I have spun sugar, dried marigold, squeezed lemonade, twisted citron, and tumbled glass. Now I had not been very good at cleaning my blue and purple brushes, and so my blue color did not turn out as planned, and I ended up pulling in, I think I pulled in some Pink Fresh lavender ink for my purple ink. You'll see in a minute. I just was not happy. I need to give my purple brush a deep cleaning because it was not behaving for this card. So there's the purple. And this is what the first stencil looks like. Pretty cool. So now I'm coming in with the second stencil and inking up the other half of the heart. And you'll see me peek behind the stencil in a second just to make sure I have enough contrast between the darker and lighter color. And I'm going to kind of breeze through the rest of this ink coloring because it's just, basic coloring like the first one. So there's what we have, and that itself looks awesome, but I am going to kick it up a notch. I'm going to take that second stencil again, the one that I used for the darker colors, and I'm going to tape it back on there. And I'm getting serious when the tools start coming out. Here they come. We are going to use Glimmer paste today. And we're using my favorite Glimmer paste, which is Moonstone. It's clear. And I actually use press and seal inside my bottle when I'm not using it. It just keeps it fresher, and I feel like it keeps it from drying out. So I'm using my little spatula to apply the paste, and then I'll put the excess on my little Stencil Pal. And then I can just drag it. This Stencil Pal is just great. I feel like it gives the most even results when you're using paste. And normally you could put the excess back in your bottle, but because it's Distress ink, you can't really put it back because it colors the paste. So there we have the front. I already put a panel of white inside my card base. You can see it's 5 by 8, so you have that green margin around it. And we're going to work on the inside of the card now. So the hearts come from the Hugging Hands die. And I am going to just quickly ink blend these hearts. And I'm going to do just a very quick rainbow blend. I am not going to use purple because my purple brush, I had to put it in timeout because it wasn't behaving. So just a very quick blend. And then I'm going to put that off to the side to dry. Now this is the Pop-up Hinges die set, the inside Pop-up Hinges die set. And I'm going to use these two little pieces here. That's going to help me connect these hearts into the inside of my card. And what I'm doing here is I'm ink blending one of them pink and the other blue. And in retrospect, I didn't need to do this. I kind of thought that they might show on the side. So here I'm just showing you the stamps that I'm picking to put on each side of the heart. These are the same, I believe these are the same stamp sets that I used earlier. Now this is a happy discovery. These sentiments in this mini sentiment set, they match these oversized word dies. And look at all these ones that I have in my stash. So I'm excited. They are the same exact font. So I decided to use this. Even though it's not a new die, I decided to use it because it would match my inside sentiment. So I thought the white didn't really stand out, so I cut another layer out of some glitter cardstock. And now we're going to, we're stamping the sentiments onto the hearts. And when you do this, just make sure your ink is dry and that you use an anti-static powder tool. And I'm using white embossing powder. So now we are going to assemble this heart so that we can attach it to the card. So these little hinges, they have a score line down the middle. So you just bend them at the score line. And then you put double-sided tape on each side of that score line. So little pieces of tape. And this is really easy. So once you have your tape, you just pick up the two pieces, you put them together, and then you flip one over so that you have tape on each side. And then you're going to take the hearts and you're going to fold those in half. And then you take those hinges and you take the release tape off one half of each color. And you're just going to sandwich those in between the hearts. And so that's why I had made it pink. I kind of thought that part of it might show on the side, but you'll see in a minute that I wish I would have used white. So to put it in your card, it's really easy. You just put the heart kind of pretty far over to the side. And I figured that out because I had tried it before. You can kind of maybe see on my white panel that I had ripped it off before because I had put it a little too close to the center. But you just attach that first, and then you pull the release tape off the second one and just close the card on it. And easy. So this is why I wish I had left my little hinges white, because you can kind of see it in the back, but only if you look. All right, let's go to the front. The Hugs glitter, I felt like it wasn't standing out enough either. And so I'm doing something that I do a lot. I'm creating a drop shadow effect by using black, but this is very subtle. Usually I make a much bigger drop shadow, but I just wanted it to be just enough to stand out. So I'm just going to glue that to the front of my panel. And that glitter cardstock really looks great with the glitter paste. So here's my sentiment, and I'm putting some foam dots on the end of the sentiment because it's straddling the hugs, and the hugs I had popped up on like 2 layers of white cardstock, so it's pretty beefy. So I'm using my T-square to make sure that sentiment is straight. And I think it's pretty cool. Hugs coming your way, and then you open it up and there's your hugs. And there's my completed front. Again, I'm loving that glitter paste, how it just really kicked things up a notch. And there's the inside. And those are my cards for you today. I hope to have more videos in the next week showing you how I made some of the other cards with this Waffle Flower release. I thank you for joining me today and have a great day. Bye.